Hello and welcome to the Pied Wagtail podcast. I have Tina with me today. So Tina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name's Tina, and what do I love doing? I love living in Norfolk. I love the coast. I love food. I love cooking. I love nature. I love walking. I've been on a personal long journey with mental well-being and health, and I'm in a good place today.
Excellent. It's really nice to have you here. We've only really just met. We don't know each other very well, do we? So I appreciate that you've come on to the podcast despite not knowing me.
We had a connection.
We had a connection. We did. And that's something that I'm really excited about and I'm pleased about. So let's launch into the questions then. So
Okay.
Tell me, what is your own definition of wellness and resilience?
Okay, well, I'm gonna read a bit because this was such a deep question. I thought I'll waffle if I don't read what I've written, so I'll read it. So for me personally, the definition of wellness is it's about different aspects of my life working together in balance, keeping me healthy, and that could be emotionally, physically, spiritually, socially, mentally, academically, all those things. And my level of wellness and the balance of those things affects how my life is lived. So if an aspect of my life is unhealthy, I think it affects all of me. So it's about getting things in balance and understanding what that means. So that's wellness. And resilience for me, this bit I haven't written, it's about using my toolbox, things I've learned that help me deal with things in life that are difficult. To me, it's about being able to return quickly to a previous good, healthy condition after dealing with difficult things. Doesn't mean you don't have difficult things. To me, I think I use a picture of a tree that is buffeted by storms and the wind, but it uses it to put its roots down further. So it's about building a foundation that enables me to deal with things in life that are difficult and be able to stand up again. I'm not immune from difficulties, but it's about learning those things that help me stand back up again. Basically, that's what I've written, I think, and remaining true to myself throughout, not being so buffeted that I'm uprooted, I haven't got a clue where I'm going or where I'm going to land. And continuing to grow, it being in a place that resilience is living this humanity, this human life with all the things that it throws at us, but continuing to grow and stand firm. Yeah.
Thank you. I love that. I love that you've used the metaphor of a tree, because I really love trees. And you've got your tree of life on.
Yeah.
Awesome. They're just so powerful, aren't they, trees?
Definitely. Trees, I think I've done a lot of work on trees and taking different aspects of a tree, like, so what are my roots? Where do I come from? What do I need to be in place to stand firm? And then branches can be, different areas of your life. Leaves can be different people in your life, Trees are just so symbolic, aren't they? They're so amazing. There's so many different types of trees. I love the trees at the moment, spring. And I think trees are a picture of newness and growth and new life. So just needs to have the right conditions to grow.
Yeah, I love that, especially the whole growth and new life. And the way, I don't know, I always see the trees as something in nature that just always stands strong, and they're always it's supporting the rest of the nature as well to grow and develop.
Yeah, absolutely. And without them, we'd have no oxygen, we wouldn't even be alive. So much respect to trees.
Thank you. So tell me a little bit about your own personal journey to wellness.
Okay, what I thought I'd do with this, when I I've been on this journey for a large number of years, but back in October 15, I really got serious about this. I thought I'm not just going to dabble, I need to do something. And in October 15, I wrote this poem, which I'd like to share with you.
Yeah, please.
It's before I started the journey, and I added a couple of lines yesterday. So it is called The Journey. The Journey Began. And it's this. So, first tentative steps into the unknown. I'm not sure of the way, and I feel very alone. I might get emotional. That's not
okay. Yeah,
I need to be on a different path. There's so many different directions I could take. I have no manual. The road is not found in a book. Can I find the way? A voice said to me, inside of yourself, take a look. What will I find? What will I see? What lessons to be learned are there for me? How do I change? How do I find peace inside of my mind? Is there any hope of recovery that I can find? I long for peace. I want all this noise to stop. I need to be heard. I need to matter. Oh, please stop all this chatter, chatter, chatter. Slowly, softly, peel back the layers, revealing the very core of me, waiting there, always has been, me, the authentic me, stripped of all the should do's, must do's, could do better, laid bare and ready to share the next step on my journey. So that was my poem, 7 years ago. And then, so I'll read you what I wrote about my personal journey. I've been through some really very difficult times in life. And I could mention all those different times, but I think it was about I didn't have the skills or the knowledge of how to cope with life's challenges, and all that resulted in a lot of stress and anxiety. And gradually that became unmanageable and I wasn't coping. I couldn't sleep. I'd sit up all night, sweating, adrenaline pumping through my body. I was very emotional, cried a lot, couldn't concentrate. Life was really difficult. I reached rock bottom about 8 years ago. And at that point, I read a poem, just a couple of lines of a poem, and it was rock bottom became the solid foundation on which I rebuilt my life. And it sort of planted a seed in me, and I wondered, could I do that? I attended a mindfulness course. I learned about meditation. I applied mindfulness, the important bit. I read a lot of books. I wanted to understand what was happening to me and whether I could make myself well again. I learned a lot about the brain, a lot about self-awareness. I found teaching online. I journaled a lot. I did a lot of work on getting to know myself. I spent 18 months studying values in life. Once I'd worked out my values, I could see why I was finding life difficult. Understanding my values has been key to my growth and my journey. They're a compass and a guide, a baseline. If I'm trying to make decisions, I refer to my values. If I'm finding a situation difficult, I refer to my values. Is it in opposition to my values? It's a never-ending journey, discovering new things all the time, and from learning from those further along on the journey. So it's just been, every article I read, everything I read just leads me to another place, to read something else. And what I find, if people have been there, or there's something inside of me that's got the wisdom. Anyway, if I apply the time to it and give myself, I'm trying to think of the word, actually make time to do this work. It's the most important work I've ever done in my life. Yeah.
I think what you've said is really important, because I know for me, I spent quite a lot of time kind of doing what you said you were doing, reading the books, learning the theory, but it doesn't mean anything unless you actually apply it. And I think it took me quite a long time to apply.
Yeah.
So what was the motivation for you to actually put all that work into the actual practice?
Because I was fed up being how I was, and I thought, I am not wasting my life like this. And if there's something I've got to do to improve that and to be well, then I need to do it. And I thought, yeah, I can read all these things. I can listen to other people and say, that's amazing. How do you do that? And I thought, there's no easy way. And I've been years getting to this point. So I expect to have to spend some time. Like, it's like a big liner, isn't it? A cruise liner going in one way, and you've stopped, thought this is the wrong direction, where it takes effort and time to actually turn around again. So the motivation was I wanted to enjoy life. I didn't want to waste it. So I suppose I didn't want to, I know for some people medication is right. For me, I didn't want to take medication for reasons I'll probably tell you another day, but I didn't want to do that. And for me, I wanted to get the core out, the roots out. What's at the root of this? I didn't want to mask it with anything. I want to once and for all to understand me. If I understood me, then I could apply that in life, and I could only see that would be a good thing, really. Even if it was making hard decisions along the way, even if it was looking at some relationships and thinking, this isn't good, I need to remove myself from this, and deal with that as well. It's quite difficult. It's not an easy journey, is it? It's quite a difficult journey, but the best journey I've ever done. Yeah.
I think it's really interesting what you've pointed out, which is that sometimes these things creep up on us, and it can take a long time subconsciously for us to get to that point. And then, yeah, afterwards, when we realize it, we expect it to be really quick, don't we? So
yeah. Well, wouldn't it be wonderful if we could just press a button or do that this week, and next week it's all gone. All these things that our brain has accumulated and learned to react to, and I'm aware that I'm talking a lot, but I just think all these neurons, all these things in your brain that have been built up, all these negative pathways, we can change our brains. We can change it. We can dismantle that, and we can build up positive things. And it's only like through journaling. I was reading the other day, and I read something, and I thought, grief, if I hadn't journaled that, I would never know how far I've come. It's a measure, and you're not even aware. The things creep up slowly on you, but also the healing takes place gradually. And you may not feel it day to day, but if you've got something to measure it by, you can look back and think, actually, I've come such a long way. Might have a way to go, but I've come a long way. Yeah,
that's a good thing about journaling, is that you can see that, because otherwise you can sort of know that you've moved on from a place and that you've moved forward, but all those details and all those specifics, I think you would most likely forget and then not give the credit to when you're thinking about it.
Yeah, and also I don't want to forget. I don't want to ever forget what I felt like, because a lot of people feel like that. I want to be able to empathise. I want to remember what it felt like. I don't want to be like, I've got it all together now, I've done all this, that's fine. I know how hard it is. I don't ever want to forget where I've come from. So it keeps me going.
Thank you. Can I take you back really quickly to what you said about relationships? Because I think that's really important, because I think that is something that a lot of people grapple with. And I think that is a really hard part of figuring out whether you are in the right company, whether they are helpful to you, whether they are unhelpful to you, whether you're in a place where you're supporting each other or not. So can you say a little bit more about that? And did you have to break some relationships, or did you have to have a conversation to change them? How did that unfold?
Both of those things. Well, the thing that's just jumped into mind, really, that I would describe myself in years gone by as a people pleaser, and I always wanted to help everybody. So it actually resulted in burnout for me. And what I found was that in my own home, sometimes we'd have people here. I'd be sitting there thinking, I don't fit in with this group. It'd actually be better if I wasn't here. They'd all get on better without me. Until I realised that actually I didn't want to be part of this group. I didn't want these people, so I was opting out. And that was causing a lot of anxiety. And it's also very scary to stand up for yourself and say, I don't want to invite these people around anymore. It was also about putting boundaries in place. It was like things like, the first time I did this, I was like, oh, can I really do this? I invited some friends round, and I actually said, I'm free for 3 hours between 2 and 5. Can you make it? And I thought, how can I press that button and say that, rather than just here till they feel, they're ready to go. And miraculously, they came back and said, oh, how lovely. Now I know what I can do with the dog. That's fine. And we all know where we are now. And I thought, wow, that was the hardest. And people know that's what I do now. And I feel much better doing things like that as well. But there were people, there was one person I'm thinking of in particular that for a lot of years I'd known was not a good relationship. And I then decided that if I had the opportunity, I was going to say something, and I knew it could result in the fracture, the fracture of that relationship. So I thought about it beforehand. Am I prepared for that to happen? Could that happen? Well, that did happen. And that was really difficult because I hate confrontation. I hate unpleasantness, stuff like that. And it bothered me for a long time. What sort of person am I that I can do that? And I even dreamt about it for 6 months. I dreamt about this all the time because it was a reflection on me, and it was really hard to do the things that I knew were necessary to do. And now I look back and I think that's a really good thing to do, but really difficult and really hard. And it's not about saying this person is a dreadful, awful person. It was about, it doesn't work for us. So, and it was about not apportioning blame. It was, it's not okay. This is not okay with me. And, so yeah, so things like that were difficult. And then I also sat and I thought, who are the people? I remember reading a book years ago, and it was about who are the very important people, the very draining people, the very needy people, like special people, all these, and I made lists of people, and this was about 30 years ago, and it was really out of balance. And I thought, now I know why I'm out of balance. But more recently, in the last sort of 7 years, I sat and I thought, relationships and connection is really important to me, but I'm not doing any of them justice because I'm spreading myself too thin. Who do I want to really build up good relationship with? And so I thought about that, and I concentrated on that, and that was a really good thing to do as well. Yes, I'm still learning about it all, but I now know, I find it quite easy actually now to not be a people pleaser. Sometimes I might feel the odd tug, I remember. Yeah, so I hope that doesn't sound, what's the word? I hope it doesn't sound, I don't know, horrible. I can't think of the right word.
It doesn't sound horrible. I think what I was thinking when you were saying that was that it's actually a really brave thing to do, and that's not something that everybody can do.
No.
Because it is really hard. And actually some people that do want to do it, they might not have that conversation head on like you did. They might have just drifted and maybe not replied to a text.
I've
Yeah,
done that as well.
it's incredible that you've been so considerate and thoughtful with relationships and connections, and to not shy away from it.
Yeah. Yeah, there are times that I've chosen to do that, just that, what you said, just remove myself gradually and let it just drop, because that seemed right for that relationship. But it was only this one that I thought it needs to be clear break. And, you know, I think every relationship is different, so there's not one fix for all. And yeah, for some people, I don't know, just a little bit of tweaking, like, but I also have to be open, don't I, to like getting it this way, don't I? So, you know, you have to be sensitive at the same time. Yeah. Careful with people. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So I just want to take you back to the journaling, because I think that ties in really well to the next question, which is, can you share any tips and strategies, you know, to support a wellness journey? And I think that probably features quite heavily in your tips and strategies, does it, journaling?
Yeah, well, what have I written? Journaling has been really helpful, so helpful, the most helpful. And I think what really repeating what I've said, when I look back through these journals, I see progress. And a next tip is make time to do the work. It won't just happen. It takes continued commitment. And it's almost like put it in your diary that for at least an hour, I don't know, for me, it was at least an hour at this time is to do this work. And find resources and find people to support you, find supportive people, gather people around you, whether that's, I don't know, I can remember reading books like from Tutu, and, you know, all the people that I admired, that I could see were living a sort of life that I was aiming towards. I started to read their stories. My mind has gone absolutely blank. Who was the guy who was in prison for 25 years? Nelson Mandela. You know, I read his books. I read so many books of inspiring people. But I also, you know, I searched. Luckily, yeah, we had computers now, so I started even with just one word. I might start with one word. And I thought, what's the actual meaning of that word? And it just, I'm just trying to think of an example. Like, what do I mean if I talk about, my things, that's it. When I talk about integrity, what's that mean? This is really how I started. Use one word and start looking at the definition and, you know, make notes. Yeah, so, yeah, that. And then the most helpful thing for me to know, I suppose it all goes with this, isn't it? Was I wanted to know the scientific facts. I quite like medical stuff as well. I like knowing how we work. I'm quite a logical sort of person, as well as emotional, spiritual, I suppose. And so I wanted to know what had gone wrong with my brain, how it all worked. Was I really going mad? Or was my brain doing what it was created to do? Was it working? And so was I using it in the best way? Or was I damaging my brain? So I started to look up neuroscientists as well and what they said about the brain. And I also wanted to know the approach I was choosing, would it work? Were there people that have done this journey before me that I could relate to and think there's hope? Was it achievable and obtainable? Yeah, sorry, my tablet is making an awful noise. I don't know if you can hear it. Can you?
No, that's okay. No. Okay. So I think you've highlighted some really important things there. So role models, I know, is helpful to people. time boxing as well, making sure that in your day you're doing what is helpful for you. And yeah, and knowledge is so important, isn't it? To being able to kind of move forwards.
Yeah. I think, I don't know, when you're feeling really emotional, really concerned about the state of your mind, you can think you're going mad. And if you can apply reason, if you can look and see that actually your brain is just trying to protect you from this, and it's trying to show you, it's your friend really, it's trying to alarm you that what you're doing, you're going in the wrong direction, this is not healthy. So for me, it was getting that knowledge. How can I use this body? Like, how can I use that to be part of the wellness program, if you like? So important. Getting out in nature, I would say, also was so high on my list. I love gardening, I love the coast, I love just watching a bumblebee, and I think that connection is so calming. And I found that if I was really struggling, the best thing for me to do was get up to the coast or be in the garden. Yeah. So.
I think that's probably what I think we connected over two things. I think the sea, because I remember a long time ago making a list of kind of like well-being boosters. Like if I'm really down, go to my list and what can I do? And the sea is at the top, and that did always just get me out of my head.
Yeah. I'll share one with you one day. So many poems written at the coast, but it's so majestic, isn't it? It's so bigger than us. It's so, we're literally little tiny spoke in a wheel, aren't we? And we haven't got the understanding of everything. It puts things in perspective, I think.
Yeah, the sea is really good at reminding us of that. And I think because it goes along with, there's like this visualization technique where you can just imagine, you kind of lay down, you imagine yourself going higher and higher and higher above your body, but really, really high until you are literally just a speck. And, that can put things into perspective sometimes.
Yeah. We think, what I already knew anyway, but what was confirmed about our brain, we're just in this universe, we're just what are we, an animal? We're limited to understanding. So it doesn't mean because I don't understand it, it's not true, or it's not there, or I don't have to have every bit of knowledge in my head. It's not possible, to believe that, I don't know, there's hope. How do you define hope? Like, how do you do that? It's there though. I don't know if I've explained that very well, but
I understand.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing we connected on was the values work, because values is as important to me as it's as important to you. And I could tell that as soon as you started talking about values, and we kind of connected and your eyes light up. And tell me a little bit more about just how important that values work is to your journey.
Oh wow, how long you got?
as long as you've got.
Well, I've done so much work on it, but the interesting thing for me is I thought, right, I've got to get to know myself better. What are my values? Oh, right, it's integrity, honesty. I don't know what I can do. It's in the book, but it's in the other room. But I wrote off about 8 values. A lot of things that probably people would say. And I looked at this list and I thought, oh, they're all very admirable, aren't they? Are they true? Do I really mean that? I haven't given that any thought whatsoever as to what they actually mean. So I wrote these values down and I did work on those values. And as I did work on that, what these actually mean, I thought, they're not my values. They are not my prime values. What makes me me? What do I value most in life? And I got after 18 months, I had a completely different, concise list of values. But also I had 5 values. I have 5 values, which was emotional stability. Well, I'll remember them off a connection with people, unity with nature, wisdom, and openness. They're my values. And I use each one of those as an umbrella. So then I got another journal book, and under that umbrella, I put what comes under that. What comes under that? So what does connection with people mean? You know, it's about how I treat them, how I value them, you know, like what relationships are like. So much work. I had about, I don't know, 10 lists under each umbrella. So then I had to do work on those as well. So it was a lot of work on a lot of things. Wisdom, what is wisdom? You know, wisdom under that umbrella, I think it's like, it's not just knowledge, it's learned experience. You know, it's a knowing, but it's living it. I don't know. Connection with nature. Well, what does unity with nature? What does that mean? You know, so I had to then look at things like the universe, or I just used my garden. I sat here one day and I thought, can I see one thing in this garden that doesn't fit, that doesn't somehow work together? And I thought, I can't actually. I can't see anything that shouldn't be there. I mean, yeah, things I might choose to do different, but I don't know, connection with people, compassion and empathy and kindness. What does that mean? How does that work out in my life? That's all under connection with people. I've got, I don't know, I should have a novel, I think, because so much. What else did I say? Openness. One of the reasons I decided to do this, but when you first said to me, would you do this? I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. That was the fear in me. And I thought, what's that about? Oh, that's about people probably not interested in what you're going to say. You know, there's things gone on in the past that make me feel quite insecure. And then I thought, go back to your values. What's one of your values? Openness. I want to be open to new things. I want to learn from other people. I want to share myself. I want connection with people. That's another value. I want emotional stability. Will I feel good about myself if an opportunity presents and I go, oh, I can't do that? They're feelings, you know, and I've learned that the values can supersede feelings. It's what I'm basing my life on, and sometimes the feelings can get the better of me. I can still have days that is difficult, but I know I've got enough resilience tools in my toolbox that I know I'll come back out of that again.
Thank you. I love that. Can I take you back to another important thing you said? You talked about hope. Can you tell me what the most important things you looked to get that hope? Like, how did you find the hope for your journey?
How did I find hope? I think it was looking to people that have already done the journey, or were on the journey, or it basically was things like that. I mean, when I read Desmond Tutu, I think I'm quoting this correctly, I don't know. There was so much poetry that people had written as well that inspired hope. It was all out of their own experience. It was other people that gave me hope. But Desmond Tutu, when I read what he'd been through, and not just Desmond Tutu, yeah, it was Desmond Tutu, him and his daughter set up this forgiveness like university, and I thought, I read that book, and I read that book. I read another book called Choice, which was a lady, I can't remember the names. I'm not good at remembering names. It should have been in the concentration camp. Yeah, that's it. I read that and I thought, my word, if that lady can do that, there's hope for me. You know, these people have overcome so many things in life. If they can do that, I can do this. And it, you know, I'm just I'm just me, you know, just me. These were people that, you know, been in prison like, you know, decades and had such terrible things done to them, and they were able to turn their lives around and other people's. And I think that's where I found most hope. I also found hope within myself, because I know that the type of person I am, I don't take things just at face value. I need to live it. I need to know it, not just as knowledge, but I need to understand it. And I was capable of learning, and I was open to, I wasn't closed to anything really. I was willing to embrace all sorts of things. I might make a decision, this isn't for me, but I wasn't going to be closed to anything. So I was willing to, I suppose, embrace what was out there. That gave me hope, that I knew that although I was like I was outside of me, there were people that had answers. There were people that, I'm not the only person in the world that's ever felt like that or ever needed to go on this journey. And I needed to be inspired. I read so much poetry, which, you know, tells you a lot about people's journeys, doesn't it, really? And then as I started, I'd realised I wasn't alone. That gave me hope. As I started to read things that other people had written, or listen to what people said, I went on to a meditation site, Insight Timer, and there's so much meditation, there's so much teaching, there's so much on there, and I just felt I'm not alone. There's a lot of people on this journey, and it gave me hope, really, to make progress.
Thank you. So is there anything else you wanted to add around what has been most helpful to you on your journey? I know we've covered a lot.
We've covered a lot, not really. No, because that's fine.
I'm going to ask you another ad hoc question then, if that's okay. Because you said that wellness to you meant balance on lots of different areas of your life. How do you maintain a balance? And how do you know when it's off? Right.
Well, if I start to feel really anxious, I start to recognise the signs now. Feeling overwhelmed, feeling I can't do this, I can't fit any more in, it's freaking me out because my diary's full up, and all those things. Then I start to stop and think, what am I not doing in line with how I'm choosing to live my life? Like all those things. Am I doing the right things emotionally for me? Am I doing the right things physically? Am I getting out, walking, and all the things that go back to my values, I suppose. Like, am I making enough time to go out for walks, to see nature, to just be still, to meditate? Am I doing that, or am I so busy that I'm getting over it? I recognise the signs. I think this is some of it is why I was so excited to meet you, because I don't know, it almost feels spiritual to me, like what we do. And to find, how can I describe it? I find it hard if I haven't got an outlet for this as well. It's all sort of contained, you know. So am I making enough time for expressing this, or sharing this, for sharing me? What the other things, emotionally, academically? Am I in balance? Am I learning so that I'm not bored? Am I, like, another thing I started doing a lot of was different creative stuff, because I thought, you know, we've got this left and right side of our brain, and if they're not in balance, then we're not going to be in balance. So am I doing enough of those things, that it's not all heady? It's, I don't know, doing mandala paintings or something, or baking cakes, or I don't know, just having fun. You know, I'm having fun. Am I going out with friends? I'm having a cocktail this week. You know, it's looking at everything. I think you begin to recognise in yourself. I can feel a panic. I feel a panic when I'm not. It's not right. And I now know I can say, I need to go for a walk tomorrow. That's what I need to do, and make time to do it, and prioritising that, really. And also, if it's like, if the diary, I feel if that's a bit overwhelming, I'll put lines through it, and I'll think, that's what I need to do. So I don't know if that's really answered your question, but
it has answered you. Yeah,
it
has. Yeah, you're talking about you first you recognize it as a panicky, anxious feeling, and then you analyze whether it's in line with your values. And I think that is just a great way of being able to put yourself back on your wellness journey and put yourself back in alignment.
And also, I think we all know the stories we can tell ourselves. You know, I can go right off on a story that my brain is telling me, and I can go with that panic sometimes. And it takes an awful lot of strength sometimes to recognise what's happening and to be able to rein that in. And then at times like that, I think I need to do some more meditation. You know, where is this coming from? Right, I can recognise where it's coming from. I can see why I'm reacting like this. What am I going to do about that? So it's getting to know yourself, really, isn't it? It's getting to know yourself. Triggers, what triggers you? So you still might well be triggered, and you still might be really struggling with something, but you might recognise it now to be able to rein it in. And so the next day, rather than a week like it, you might be a few hours, or you might be a day or two. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to ask you the last question. And the last question is all about, can you please tell us either a strength, a value, or a personality trait that you use in a positive way towards your own wellness and resilience?
I think probably I've said most of it as we've talked.
Said a lot.
I'll just read what I wrote in answer to that. I've always liked studying. I've always been interested in understanding the human mind and behaviour, and I use that continually to learn. One of my values also is unity with nature. I love being outdoors, working with plants, walking amongst nature, being at the coast. I know if I'm having a hard time, I need to touch base with nature. It restores my soul. And knowing that it is so important, it helps me make the decision to do it, even if I don't feel like it. I know I will feel better for doing it. Mindfully watching wildlife is so calming for me. So I suppose really the first bit I'm about studying, but I've talked more about unity with nature. So it's how do I use it in a positive way to contribute to my well-being? Or I've learned, you know, I can look at the television, and if an advert is coming out and a bumblebee is there landing on a flower, there's something in me that goes like that, even to that degree now. And I remember sitting here, spending the time to watch. In lockdown, I sat and watched a bird in my garden for an hour. I didn't move, I just sat and watched this bird. I thought I'd have never done that. But I use it because I know that your senses, if you've got your senses working, your amygdala, your adrenaline, all that can't work at the same time. It actually has to shut down. So by focusing on your senses, what you can see, hear, smell, taste, touch, if you do that, you're actually doing the biggest thing you can do to close down the stress reaction. It will calm you and restore you. And I found that to be true. So I use it a lot.
And that's a lovely note to end on. And thank you so much, Tina, for joining me. I really appreciate it.